I felt the immense anchoring press of 6 ribs against mine and realized for the first time that safety could feel entirely overwhelming. That was my choice, my will. But was I really going down with 5 men? Can I handle them all? Well, if you want to know, it would interest me to take you all through how this whole night began, how I got here, and all the heart-stopping moments that led to this complete surrender. My name is Freya. I grew up with the sea on one side and a vast, dense forest on the other. Maybe that's why I always craved extremes. The fierce power of the ocean, the quiet, enveloping pull of the deep woods. My family, they were conventional, loving, but they never quite understood the restless spirit inside me, the part that always wanted to push the boundary of feeling, of truly being seen. Until I met Alex. He was the first person to look at me and see not the conventional woman, but the soul that held a challenge, a raw, primal need for connection. That's what brought us with 4 of our closest, most trusted friends deep into the Oregon wilderness this weekend. The air in the cabin had been warm with the scent of pine and the memory of fire. Alex was behind me, his hands on my hips, guiding me forward. I still remember the soft velvet of my sapphire dress moving against the roughness of his worn shirt. It was the first gentle contrast of the night. I stepped away from Alex's touch, not because I wanted to, but because I knew this next moment demanded my presence alone. The 4 other men, Kai, Elias, Reese, and Liam, stood in a solemn, quiet semicircle. They didn't move. They just waited. My heart drummed a frantic rhythm against my chest. This wasn't about performance. It was about genuine, mutual commitment. I was not seen as much as I was the central, focused point of 5 separate, intensely focused souls. Alex's hands lifted. The loss of that familiar anchor was immediate. But then the space was filled. A strong palm, large and warm, found the curve of my lower back. Not Alex's, but Reese's. His touch was a deep, calming pressure, completely supportive. He didn't push or pull. He simply held the space behind me. I realized I was safe, and that realization made the tension rise even higher. Stop watching and listening. I know this moment, this feeling of intense curiosity and rising heat is gripping you right now. If you click away, if you stop watching, you leave me right here, suspended in the space between trust and total surrender, never completing the journey I just began. Please stay with me. See this commitment through. If this story touches that vulnerable, honest place in your heart, show me you understand. Give this video a thumbs up right now. And if you truly cherish the people in your life, share this story with them. I focused on the details. Kai's presence was on my left, a quiet, almost watchful intensity that grounded me. Elias was opposite, his smile slow and certain. The textures were important, the rough wool of Reese's sleeve as he shifted closer. I started to catalog them by touch. Kai's skin felt cool and steady. Reese's hand, resting on my spine, was heavy, solid, a promise of stability. Elias was lighter, his fingers exploratory, tracing the edge of my collarbone with reverence. Liam was pure, consistent warmth, pressing slightly against my shoulder. In Alex, though his hands had retreated, his breath was still the foundational signature, warm near my neck. I closed my eyes. It was a conscious act of relinquishing control, a deep sign of trust. I allowed them to move me. 2 hands found my waist. Another rested flat on my upper chest. The movement was not forceful, but synchronized, fluid. I was gently turned, my body a compass guided by 6 hands working as one. I felt the texture of 5 separate fabrics pressing against the thin velvet of my dress. The contrast was exquisite, amplifying the awareness of my own soft skin beneath. Alex's voice came, low and steady. It felt like an extension of my own deepest thought. Are you ready, Freya? Ready to simply let go? I opened my eyes, meeting his gaze. My answer was not a word, but a simple, certain nod. The decision was made. The tension was now almost a physical entity in the room, taut and waiting. Then the rhythm began. It was a slow, subtle sway, initiated by the collective movement of their hips. They were rocking the circle, and I was the center of that deliberate, profound motion. I was being held, completely, entirely by a single, powerful six-person entity. The movement built a hypnotic, soft pulse that settled deep inside my own bones. I looked directly into Alex's eyes, and I knew. The commitment was complete. The surrender had begun. The moment I saw that intense affirmation in Alex's eyes, the atmosphere shifted from solemn promise to focused, intimate action. The time for silent vows was over. The subtle, rocking rhythm continued, but now it wasn't just about holding me, it was about exploring the space between us. The group began to address me, not as a whole, but as individuals, showing me the unique, beautiful nature of our 5 different bonds woven into one. Elias was the first to approach my face. He stepped slightly closer. His gaze was steady, not focused on my body, but on my eyes, the slight curve of my mouth. His hand lifted, a light, almost reverent movement, and rested against my cheek. His touch was warm and sincere. He simply looked at me, confirming the romance and the emotional depth inherent in what we were doing. He saw my vulnerability and he approved of my strength in showing it. Reese followed. His contribution was anchoring. While Elias engaged my gaze, Reese's large hands moved to my shoulders, then settled deep and firm on my lower back, providing unwavering support. I felt his immense physical strength used entirely for my comfort and security. He communicated trust, deep and absolute, without uttering a single sound. The 6 of us started to move together in a slow, graceful dance that barely covered 3 feet of floor space. I was the fixed point, the center of this world, around which 5 orbits moved with perfect understanding. The combined heat rising from our bodies began to make my soft velvet dress feel heavy, restrictive. I could feel the silk lining heating against my skin, a delightful contrast to the cooling air of the cabin. I found my voice, husky now, tight with the building heat. I repeated the challenge I had given them, the core commitment of the night, softly, not asking for an answer, but affirming the current reality. The response was immediate and unified. It wasn't spoken words, but a heavy, synchronized exhale from all 5 throats, a wave of agreement that settled over me, electric and certain. Then the layers began to give way. Hands moved, focused and delicate, to the back of my neck. I felt the tiny tug of the zipper on the sapphire velvet. The sound was a tiny, sharp whisper in the quiet cabin, a profound, sensual cue. It was the point of no return. The zipper descended, slowly, deliberately. I felt the immediate, thrilling sensation of the cool cabin air touching the heated skin of my back, a stark, delightful contrast that heightened my senses. They didn't pull the dress away. Instead, they allowed it to fall open, hanging loose and draped against my body. The dark velvet was now just a sensual frame, highlighting the skin beneath. I was exposed, yet completely protected, standing in the loose, heavy material, feeling the combined, focused energy of 5 souls dedicated to my comfort and my desire. The tension, once tight and sharp, had transformed into a deep electric current that pulsed between us all. My whole body was hyper-aware, ready. I could feel the heat radiating from their chests, the steady strength of their arms. The moment was suspended, breathtaking, waiting for the next step. The soft sound of the zipper fading was replaced by the quick, shallow cadence of my own breathing. The air was no longer just warm, it felt thick with anticipation, swirling around the newly exposed lines of my body beneath the draped velvet. The rhythm that started as a gentle sway now demanded movement. I felt the pressure of their collective hands guiding me, not pushing, but steering me with exquisite precision backward, toward the heart of the cabin, the plush, soft arrangement of blankets and pillows near the low, glowing embers of the fire. I didn't walk. I was guided. It felt like being suspended, my body supported by a shifting, warm landscape of hands and arms. I was lowered, not dropped, but settled down with incredible, synchronized care. Every millimeter of descent was accounted for by the group. Once settled on the soft surface, the 5 men moved into a cohesive formation around me. Their focus intensified. They began the delicate, shared process of discovery. Their hands moved with a beautiful, synchronized purpose, tracing the lines and contours that the loosened velvet had revealed. It felt like they were mapping the known terrain of my body with a new shared intention. The pressure of the multiple hands was a gentle, persistent weight pressing me deeper into the warmth of the blankets. It was an overwhelming, yet completely delightful sensory input. I could feel the intense warmth radiating from their palms, slowly building a furnace of heat that started deep inside my core. My breath quickened. My skin, hyper-aware and responsive, felt every texture, every point of contact. This focused, unwavering attention was more intoxicating than any touch alone. I was no longer just accepting their movements. I began to move myself. My hips shifted subtly, a quiet internal drive guiding their hands and their collective attention. This was my active participation, the confirmation that my surrender was mutual. I was not just being loved. I was the core of the unspoken rhythm. Alex remained my anchor. His touch, always present and steady, maintained a deep, possessive connection with my body. He was the foundation, the constant, powerful force amidst the varied, thrilling explorations of the others. The pace of their combined actions started to build. The rhythmic pressure and the persistent warmth created a unified, building pulse. The narrative of my body was being written by 5 distinct hands, all telling one beautiful, intense story. The escalating sensory input was dizzying, yet perfectly centered. I focused on the details. The gentle, swift friction provided by Elias, the immense, stabilizing pressure applied by Reese, the light, exploratory strokes of Kai, the consistent, deep warmth of Liam, and the essential grounding connection provided by Alex. These were not separate actions, but 5 layers of sensation, building one powerful, cohesive wave. My throat tightened. The internal pressure built, demanding a release. It was a beautiful, overwhelming crush of focused desire and connection. I couldn't hold the sound in. A small, sharp gasp escaped my lips. A sound that spoke of pure, unadulterated sensation. The collective movement paused, suspended in the electric quiet of the room, waiting for my signal.
Hey guys, that sound, that gasp, is the price of total vulnerability. It's raw, it's real, and it's where the story truly breaks open. If you felt that powerful rush of emotion, you understand the depth of this moment. Don't let Freya's vulnerability be in vain. Tell me in the comments below, what does commitment truly mean to you? If you're enjoying this romantic journey, I'd love for you to help us spread the magic. Share this story with your Facebook groups, post it in your communities, and send it to friends and family on WhatsApp. Each time you share, you're giving someone the gift of a beautiful story, a moment of escape, and perhaps a renewed belief in romance and connection. Your shares have real impact, and together we can grow this family exponentially. Thank you for standing by me. Back to our story. My sharp gasp was the catalyst. It shattered the quiet pause, and the 5 men launched into a unified, focused surge of action. There was no hesitation, no question. The circle had achieved perfect, intense synchronicity. The soft, slow exploration was over. The combined force of their presence became a singular, powerful energy. I was no longer aware of five separate people, only a cohesive, irresistible entity moving with deep mutual understanding. The focus shifted entirely to the deep core connection. I felt the immediate, total sensation of being completely enveloped, carried forward by a powerful, sustained vibration. We were climbing a shared ladder of sensation, the steps quick and relentless, driving us higher and higher into the center of the experience. The unique touch of each man was now a perfectly integrated layer in the escalating intensity. Reese's deep, stabilizing pressure was the anchor. Elias's movements were swift, generating immediate, electrifying heat. Kai's hands provided powerful, persistent encouragement. Liam supported the powerful movement from below, maintaining the base, and Alex remained the unwavering, essential core connection. I was entirely focused on the sensory overload. The heat radiating from our six bodies was immense. The rhythm was faster now, a rapid, beautiful heartbeat shared by every soul in the room. My mind fragmented, focused only on the crushing, beautiful sensory weight. I felt the immense, delicious weight of their focus pressing down, pushing me to the absolute edge of feeling. The tension, stretched and held for so long, finally began to buckle. The moment of release came not as a single action, but as a complete, shattering flood of golden light. It was a massive, collective discharge of all the built-up expectation and desire. My body shook with the force of it, a profound, echoing tremor. I was falling into a warm, unified ocean, held perfectly, completely, as the powerful waves of sensation washed over me again and again. The light dimmed, the powerful vibration subsided, and the rapid pace slowed. My body, vibrating with the residual energy, settled back against the soft blankets, surrounded by the warm, heavy weight of the men. My breath was coming in deep, ragged pulls. The exhaustion was profound, yet the satisfaction was absolute. I turned my head and looked at the five faces closest to me, all of them breathing heavily, their eyes bright with the shared memory of the peak. With the last of my breath, soft and certain, I gave the answer to the challenge, not as a whisper of surrender, but as a statement of total, absolute fulfillment. I took all five. The soft sound of my final absolute affirmation, I took all five, settled over the cabin like a benediction. The immense storm had passed, leaving behind a silence thick with contentment. There was no immediate rush to separate. Instead, the collective energy performed a slow, gentle unraveling. The sharp edges of intensity softened into the comforting, pervasive warmth of shared aftermath. I felt the physical pressure around me ease just enough to allow deep, easy breath. But the connection remained unbroken, a continuous circuit of heat and comfort. My body was humming with residual energy, a pleasant, deep vibration beneath the skin. I focused on the feeling of being completely weighted down, not pinned, but anchored by the happy, contented limbs around me. Our six heartbeats, which had been racing in frantic synchronicity, were now slowing back into a lazy, unified rhythm. The space around us was still sacred, still defined by the moments that had just occurred. I felt an overwhelming surge of gratitude and trust. The intense vulnerability I had exposed, the deep, raw core of my desire, had been met with not conquest, but with reverence. I spoke softly, my voice still husky from the exertion. I have never felt so seen. Elias, who was nestled close to my side, responded with a low, assured sound. His hand came up, not to touch me with urgency, but to gently cut my cheek, confirming the emotional depth of the bond. His touch was slow, tender, affirming the romance that anchored this complexity. The nurturing acts began, simple and profound. A strong arm, Reese's, reached across to pull the heavy wool blanket higher over my chest, a movement of complete care. Liam, ever the provider of warmth, shifted his body to block a small draft coming from the window, surrounding me in his heat. Alex, my constant, leaned down and touched his forehead gently to mine. His gaze was deep and unwavering. He confirmed that this wasn't an end, but a powerful foundation for everything that would follow. This, he said quietly, his voice a low rumble, was the only beginning that mattered. I realized that the intensity of the experience had not separated us, but fused us. There was no going back to the way we were before. We had forged a new structure, one built on absolute mutual surrender. The trust, the vulnerability, and the immense pleasure had created a certainty stronger than any spoken promise. I drifted toward sleep, feeling completely safe in the center of their collective presence. The embers in the fireplace glowed faintly, casting long, peaceful shadows. The immense weight of their companionship, powerful, warm, and protective, was the last thing I felt. I had given my answer to their challenge, and the resulting peace was the most profound form of fulfillment. I was content, utterly and deeply settled into this new reality. The first light filtering through the cedar slats of the window was soft and pale. I woke slowly, luxuriously, weighted down by comfort and a total absence of anxiety. I was still the center of the circle, cocooned, warm, and secure. I saw the faces of the 5 men surrounding me, relaxed in deep sleep. Their expressions were quiet, peaceful, and profoundly human. Seeing them like this, stripped of the intentional intensity of the previous night, confirmed the beautiful truth. This connection was real, extending far beyond the moments of heightened passion. Alex was the first to stir. His eyes, heavy with sleep, fluttered open and immediately found mine. There were no immediate words. The sheer significance of the night before was clear, reflected in his steady, knowing gaze. It was a silent acknowledgement of the permanent, beautiful shift that had occurred. I lifted my hand, heavy, contented, and placed it flat over his heart. I felt the slow, steady thump beneath my palm. It was my silent vow, a commitment to the strength of our core bond and the powerful structure we had built around it. My inner monologue provided the final satisfying summation. The initial challenge I had thrown down, the vulnerability I had embraced, had not been a test, but a key. It unlocked a profound level of connection, trust, and physical joy that I never knew was possible. I was not diminished. I was amplified. I was complete. Alex lifted his head slightly. His lips touched mine, a gentle, lingering affirmation. It was a kiss that sealed the entire story, symbolizing the unwavering strength of our foundational love and the beautiful, powerful reality of the structure we had built around it. The silence of the cabin now was the sound of profound shared contentment. I was safe, found, and irrevocably bound. And there we are. The final page of our romantic story has been turned. To all my amazing supporters who watched from beginning to end, you are the reason this channel exists and continues to grow. I'm deeply grateful for your time, your attention, and your love. If this story touched you, if it made you believe in the magic of romance, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with your Facebook groups, post it in your communities, and send it to friends and family on WhatsApp. Every person you share this with is someone who might need exactly this kind of emotional escape today. Your generosity and sharing creates ripples of love that extend far beyond what we can see.
Thank you for being part of this beautiful family. I'll see you very soon with another heartfelt story. Until then, keep believing in love.